Buddy John, welcome.
Hi, Madhu. It's amazing to be here with you.
Here is something that I was just thinking about few things, okay? Like all the great people that have made quotes, you're one of them, okay? Matthew Webb said, nothing great is easy,
Right.
okay? And you say, more great, less grind,
Yeah.
okay? I'm in the middle of the lake. It's 2 in the morning. I don't want to be there. What do I need to do to achieve greatness?
Well, yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is you do actually want to be there.
No, I don't want to be there. It's 2 a.m. It's 12 Celsius.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I had a wonderful talk with a good friend last night that might answer the question, and we talked about the concept of why, right? Like why are you out there? Why are you wanting to achieve it? What is motivating you? What is going to get you to keep going instead of getting out? Because at that point at 2 a.m. you're cold, you don't want to be in there, you say. um, there's two options, well, maybe there's three. One option is you just get out, stop, end whatever goal it is, a relationship, a career, a swim, running across the desert, whatever. Or you keep going, or you could sit and think about it for a while, but that would end, that would eventually end the activity. So I don't know. I think the why is pretty powerful. And that's my best answer right now as to what's going to change at 2 a.m. when you're cold and you don't want to be in there and you're wondering how this even happened. Didn't want it to be cold, didn't want it to be wavy, didn't want to be sick, didn't want, I just wanted to be easy, or thought it would be easy. And sometimes it's just not what we're expecting. And I think that drives us to think about why we're there.
Mhm. Now, I was trying to understand um, your work with the focus on, okay, hey, optimizing human capitalism,
Yeah.
human
Okay.
capital,
All right.
right?
Okay.
So I was trying to figure out, okay, hey, like, is there like one of the options at 2 a.m. in the morning is, okay, I know it's cold, I'm scared,
Yeah.
but whatever phase that I'm going through, is that temporary? Is it something that I can overcome?
Yeah.
But what do I need to do in order to get through that tricky phase?
Yeah.
What do I need to do? Like, how do
Right.
I hold myself?
Right.
Right. So that's where I was trying to go, and
Okay.
I was actually trying to,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So maybe another way to look at it is, thanks for clarifying where you're going, is the book I wrote called More Great, Less Grind.
Mhm.
Really, in essence, was about the idea that, for me anyways, like, it was based on a personal experience where I was highly stressed. Stress is part of life. So, but
Mhm.
I was not managing it well. So that's maybe another. I was not managing stress well, and that the consequences of that were, um, my, sort of resources were compromised pretty significantly. I was unhappy in a life that I should have been happy with. I was unhealthy. I had a couple of health issues. My mind, my mind was easily out of control in terms of just my thoughts, so they weren't regulated. Um, I worried. I was anxious, uh, catastrophizing, stuff like that. So when we're in this state of grind, as I describe it, I guess, my offer in that book to people who read it is that like, I think there's some people who sort of figure that life is just a grind, and so I just have to quietly kind of endure, right?
Mhm.
But I don't think that's really what was intended when we were born. I think there's a way to experience great, well-being. Great doesn't mean climbing a mountain or swimming a lake or running across a desert or whatever. Great
Mhm.
means really, to me anyways, how we can optimize our life experience. How can we optimize our resources? How can we free our mind to execute aspirations that we have that we want to achieve in our life, whether a little thing or big thing. It doesn't really matter whether it's bigger, but it's just that aspirational, that potentialize that potential that we all have, and how do we get there? And we can't get there through grind. I mean, we can, I guess. It's effort. I think effort and grind are different in my thinking. Like, there's effort you need to make, but so anyways, bringing it back to where you're going, I guess, Madhu, so it's maybe in the 2 a.m. in the morning, it's just quietly sort of trying to hold on to a thought, which is that there's loud thoughts of, I don't want to be here, I'm freezing, I want to get out, or whoever put me here in this situation, and try to find that one little thought of aspiration that put you there, and allow that to build. So dwell on that, focus on that, and to find there is a way out. Sometimes we don't think there is. It's all dark and stuff, but metaphorically and literally, if it's 2 a.m. But there is a way out, and the way out, I think, is to grasp hold of a thought that is the truth, or is the sort of this calling, or God, or the source, or whatever appeals to you. And that's the most powerful source there is, to hold on to that. And then I think what happened to me in the lake was I had a significant difficulty halfway through one of them, and I found my way out of that, and I became stronger and stronger through the last half of the swim.
Mhm.
So yeah, I will pause there because that's a long answer to your good question.
No, that's actually a wonderful answer. I was also wondering, because we've been friends we've seen or met each other. We've been constantly in touch for about 22 years.
Okay.
So I kind of feel, at least, that I've been from I'm partly aware of everything that is happening with you, Rick, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I was wondering, okay, how did open water swimming, help you to finally state, okay, hey, we need to optimize human capital? Like, did swimming play a role in that, or was it something? Is it two different worlds, like your swimming and your professional work?
Yeah.
Like, is there any collaboration in terms of your wisdom? Like, okay, that's where I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, so let me try and answer for that. Yeah, that's a great question. It's an interesting question to me. The two books that I've written came after the swims,
Mhm.
and what happened for me in the swims is this: I had an idea, or I had a goal, um, and I executed that goal, and some amazing things happened. Not just the swim, but people and things came to the swims that were amazing. Um, but I guess the swims helped me understand that we are capable of a lot, maybe more so than we think sometimes. But I think, like, when I've talked about the swims, and I'll just see if I don't know if this resonates, but I want to make sure that any listeners understand this could be like somebody's never run a 3K race and they say, I think I can do it and I want to do it, and they do it, or a 10K or whatever. So it's not about something like swimming across 51 kilometers of open water, but um, anyways, yeah, the swims taught me that we have an inner strength that can be utilized to do really cool things. if we want to tap into that, if we're committed, if we have a plan that we execute well and we're committed and stuff. So it taught me a lot, but there's another element to it that I don't know if you're going this way, but I'll say it anyways, is that it also taught me that, and some of the work I've done and I've talked about in those books is I had to, I had to get proper rest. I had to eat properly. I had to do the work, the physical work to get across the lake, to prepare for it. And I had to have the right mindset. So I've done some work around this sort of formula that I like, which is called rest, fuel, movement, and mindset.
Mhm.
I've talked about it, and there's 3 categories within each of those 4 domains. But basically, I started to realize like the only way I could have swum across the lake was if I had those pretty well in control, where I was getting adequate rest and I was eating, I was fueling my body in a way that allowed my body to do the work that was needed. And I had my thoughts regulated in a reasonable way, and I had a focus, and I had a constructive, positive mindset. Those 4 domains were really interesting for me to look at as sort of a success formula, I would say, or to do the swims. And I've used those in other parts of my life, but I kind of forgot that formula at work and got into that state of, kind of internal chaos and unhealth. And then I got back to the formula. But so, does that help with where you're going?
I kind of agree with you, John, because swimming was a recent medium for me that's taught a lot about life, team, leadership, courage,
Yeah.
like going through difficult periods and all, which work never taught me or school
Right.
never taught me.
Right.
So swimming was like open water swimming, especially not pool swimming. Open water swimming
Yeah.
gave me all these attributes that I had to deal with.
Right.
So it gave me a chance to do a lot of self-evaluation in order to achieve greatness.
Yeah.
As Matthew Webb said. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I completely agree with you. Getting across a body of water is not great. I'm with you on that. Yeah. But yeah.
The other element, like metaphorically, and you could talk about this too, and maybe that was your inference there, is swimming across a large body of water. It's like life. You think, okay, I'd like to do this. I'd like to have a good life, and then you get out there, and it's colder than you thought, or there's waves, and you didn't expect that. And like life, we go through life, and we'd like to have a happy, healthy life, and we want our kids to be happy and healthy, and become all that they can be. And sometimes we meet challenges along the way that are unexpected. And, we're faced with, having to deal with those. And when I'm out in open water, I have to deal with it immediately and, decide what I'm going to do about it. But so metaphorically, swimming, in open water is a bit like this journey of life. And then, to kind of, we all want to have a good life, live a good life. And in some ways that's the outcome of, I had a good swim, good life. And I don't know, there's sort of connections, I think.
And one more thing, I know we spoke about open water, and we mentioned, okay, us being in the open water, but what about another attribute there is people. Like how does there's also an element of team, but like people in general, okay, how does all these 3 things come together to achieve a good life, an optimized life, right? Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting question. I think you said something to me once, which was quite interesting. I won't repeat it just now, but I think the essence of what my answer would be is that who do we surround ourselves with in our life, and what attention do we pay to relationships, and who are those people? And I think we've all had experiences. I know I have experiences in my life where there's a person or people that they're not aligned with my values or principles. God bless them, and I don't wish them well and everything, but they're like, I sometimes think, Madhu, about energy creators and energy consumers. So what things do we do that generate energy, and what things do we do consume energy? Of course, there's basic things like living a life, walking around, that consumes energy, but I don't really mean those basic things. I mean activities or people or relationships that sort of build us up, and we build them up, and there's this energy or vibration that we feel that is a there's leverage to that relationship in some way that makes the relationship better, the world better. I love those situations where I come across people. You're definitely one of those people for me. So super grateful for the relationship with you, because you always uplift me, and I find what you do inspiring. And those, if we can find more and more people like that in our lives, I think that makes our lives and other people's lives better. So in the swims team, who's on a team, so to speak, who's on your personal team, I think that matters a lot to the outcome of a swim or to one's experience in life.
Yeah, love it, John. Yeah, it's very mutual. You've always been a dear friend, and you're an energy creator for me. Okay, I consume a lot of your energy. Okay. I'm not giving it anything back to you. Okay.
No, I'm going to be smiling after this call for a while, based on this, based on your energy. Yeah.
So I don't know if this is true, but help me. I believe you were a breaststroker.
You're asking me if I was a breaststroker?
Yeah. As a child.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you got that from, but you must have read something. But when I started swimming competitively kind of late, relatively, at 13. So like, so many stories we go on. But anyways, so I went to this pool, which was kind of intermediate team, I guess, or part of the club, North York Aquatic Club. And so I got in there, and everybody assumed that I'd been swimming for like 5 years, because and I was tall for my age. So, and the coach, sort of assumed, he said, "What's your, so hey, what's your best stroke? What are your times?" And what's your best stroke? And I couldn't even think of what the strokes were. So what do I know, right? I'm showing up in shorts, and I didn't even know what's going on. So I said breaststroke. So he said, "Okay, you're in the breaststroke lane." So I was in the breaststroke lane for a while, and crazy how we remember these things, but I remember the time on a deck at a pool in my mind. I remember the pool, and he came up to me and he put his arm around me after a bunch of events where I didn't do that well, but he said, "I don't think you're a breaststroker." And I said, "Thank God. No, I'm not." So then I got put in the freestyle lane, and then I did a lot of freestyle through my.
I've been trying to imagine that as John being a breaststroker.
Yeah. I remember one race I dove in and for a breaststroke race, and my goggles came down to my chin, and I'm trying to swim with madness. Anyway, so I was a breaststroker for a few months, but that was about the extent of my career.
Okay. I mean, is there anything? Tell me about your childhood swimming days. I know, I know you talk a lot about your mom, like how your parents influenced you. Like anything fun that happened as a child?
Yeah, that's a kind question. Yeah, and it's kind because that my mom passed away a couple of months ago, and so I miss her, and she was a big influence in my life. She loved living. She loved life. She just loved life and loved living. So kind of her attitude was a motivation, inspiration for me. But yeah, fun things. Yeah, I swam. What comes to mind, I'll tell you. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I'll tell you one story. It wasn't really my childhood, but it was a swim story. It relates to my mom because on one of my swims, I tried 3 times, as you know. So the first time I didn't make it, swam into the storm, and that was like 8 to 10 foot swells. It was like madness, out of control. Boats were like crazy. People were sick. It was like madness. So, anyways, before I got pulled out, my mom was on the back of a dive boat. So a dive boat, there's a cabin and a flat back on this dive boat. And she was on the back of this dive boat on a chair. The chair must have been stationary because she wasn't, flying around out there. But every time I looked up and if I was on a swell, I could see her. And she would just be there, go, John, go, go, John, go. And all around was chaos, right? But there was my mom, like, go, John, go. And I think she thought I could go through anything. I think she thought I could swim through this. I think like the faith and the belief, like I might have a cry here, just the faith and the belief and the love, like a parent has for a child is like, and she just was there, go, John, go, like through a storm. And I could hear her once in a while. And it was just, I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life. It was so profound. The faith she had in me to be in there in this storm, trying to get through these waves was so meaningful to me. It was just something else. So that was quite a profound memory for me of her being on my swims. Yeah, but I love water. I love being in water. I always did when I was a kid, and up at the cottage, a lot of time in the water. I got kicked out of a pool, like we're doing, going for like open swim, like crazy stuff. And when I was 12, I got kicked out because I was hacking around and causing trouble. I got kicked out for 2 weeks, went home, and my dad asked me why I was home early, and I cried because I got kicked out. I cried because I got kicked out of the pool for 2 weeks. I couldn't go back, and I was so upset of not being able to go back to the pool. My dad thought, geez, if this guy's crying about that, I should get him into swimming. So yeah, he kind of found a way into a swim club for me, which was, such a gift in retrospect. Yeah, it's just incredible. So yeah, I'll pause there.
I'm with you, John. Swimming has played an important role in my life.
Yeah, I know it has. Yeah, I know it has. I'm waiting for somebody to interview you so I can hear more about it.
So, John, I know you've done several swims. I don't want to get into the inventory of your swims, but some have been, you've broken some barriers. In order to do that, like, how did you deal with failure to push, like, while you were pushing that barrier? Right?
Yeah, failure. So, well, I guess one example was when I did that swim and or that attempt, and I got pulled out after I think it was after 7 hours and 12 miles in like a major storm. I do cry a bit. So here's another example. So I got out of I was pulled out, and I just had a cry about, like, I failed this swim, and it was really a defeating feeling. And then a few days later, I was thinking about failure, and I think, what is failure actually? What is that all about? Failure? Did I fail actually? So then I thought, well, wait a minute. I think failure for me would have been if I just gave up and didn't try again. That would be failure. It wasn't failure to get out. That was just a reality. It wasn't possible to swim through Mother Nature's business at that point. And then I thought, well, another way I put it is I was successful up until the point I got out, which was sort of this way of me sort of saying, well, I put in a good effort and then I got out. And so, as a bit of a tangent to this, my experience is one of the things that I try to do, Madhu, is learn, right? I learn from things. So, oh, that was a failure. That was a bad thing. Or I'm an idiot because I forgot the eggs when I went shopping or whatever. And we do this to ourselves where we just are kind of critical, or we are a failure, or we're not good enough, or tall enough, or short enough, or smart enough, whatever. And it's all just stuff that gets in the way. And I think really ideally it's about learning. What did we learn about this experience, and what can we do differently next time? And that's really grounds for growth and expansion and unfolding of, a better way to live our life. So I think, try to look at things that way.
Yeah, I've lately realized that failure is an important thing in life, and we need to figure out a way to deal with it, or right, to embrace it.
Yeah.
Embrace it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, failure, like, I don't know, failure. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think, I guess I feel the same way. It's just, failure shouldn't stop us. It should be learning ground. It's just some stuff that happens. We all have things that don't work out, or that we fail at, right? And then we have to learn to move through them. And I think my experience is that the other side of failure, if we choose to go there, is really great, right? Like, there's learning. So the other side is maybe even better than plan, or it's like it's a wonderful place on the other side. Yeah.
John, what does courage mean to you?
Courage. Boy, you ask such great questions. You like this famous podcaster now, with all these great questions. Courage. To me, courage is to fulfill a dream. And that dream could be big or small. The courage to move through a story that doesn't serve us, courage, something that sort of holds us back, that isn't true, a story that we might have in our heads. Sometimes courage is getting up in the morning and standing straight and being upright and facing what we have to do that day. So I think courage is not a size or not a bigness. It's not a mountain necessarily. It could be. It might be a conversation. It might be a self-honoring act. I need to do this for myself. I'm going to find the courage to say this, or ask for this, or say that I'm not perfect. I need help. Moving through fears that we have that perhaps are unfounded or seem real but aren't. I think courage is like a muscle that we can ideally work to flex and to work on and build, because courage gets us to such amazing places. Wow.
Beautiful, John.
Yeah.
I know you've done so many things in life, work, adventures. I think I'm going to change the question. Yeah, like, who's your inspiration? Like, since childhood, and who's your inspiration in your adult life? Who's your
Boy, who's my inspiration? Yeah, that's a good question. My mind goes to some philosophers or people in history that have had some effect on me. I think, my mother, I think, the degree to which she just loved life and went through challenges and hardships, and her husband, my dad, died a long time ago, and she moved forward and dealt with difficult things, but ultimately she really loved living, as I said earlier. And I think that was a big influence. That's a big influence in me, because there's times in my life where I get down, and the hard stuff seems to be big and overwhelming, and maybe not happy as I should be. And I don't see the good things, and the bad or the negative is like, Velcro, so to speak, and all the good stuff is in the background and not. She brought the good stuff to the foreground. But she brought the good stuff to the front stage of her life, and I think that was big. There's other people. Her cousin was a Jesuit for 72 years. He died around age 90, and he was a big influence in my life. He was a Jesuit priest. I went to India to visit him when I was 16 to coach the swim team over there at a boys' private school in Darjeeling. I lived there for 2 months. He was a big influence in my life, a kind human. Wow. Profound impact by him. Yeah, it's a very good question, but that's my best answer for now.
John, okay. What's the most difficult thing that you've done, John, that you would like to share? Yeah. It doesn't need to be swimming.
Yeah.
Sometimes swimming might have helped you achieve something more difficult. Yeah, swimming might have given you the courage, right? All your swimming achievements, or maybe it's swimming. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do. Most difficult thing I've done, that comes to mind, is to see my mother in a really extremely distressed state, about 10 days before she died, and I was with her in the emergency, and that was probably the hardest thing I've ever encountered. I'm not sure if that's really what you're asking, but that comes to mind. Yeah. Some of the swims, like persevering, and one swim halfway through, I was utterly depleted. I was so depleted, I stopped treading water because I felt that I couldn't even take another stroke, and I started sinking, and that was hard. And then I made it through that, and then I completed that swim in a pretty good time. Yeah. So he asked for one, I gave you two. I'll stop there.
What's a perfect swim according to you, John?
A perfect swim. Well, again, these questions, the answers are long. I'll try to make it short, but
No, please take your time.
yeah, a long time ago, and this was a bit of learning about the mind and goal setting. It was very profound for me, but my dad gave me, when I was just a teenager, gave me a book called The Magic of Believing. It's a red book. It's written in 1942 or something. And I don't know what page, 46 or something. It was just strategies for goal achieving things. So one was writing your goal down on a recipe card. So I wanted to make the Canadian men's team to go to a competition in New Zealand. So I wanted to make the Canadian men's team. So I had to qualify. I thought the best shot I had was 200 freestyle. So I thought, okay, I knew they say this is a qualifying time to make the team. And the time I'd never done before, right? It was not even close. I mean, it wasn't like, it just wasn't a time I'd done before. But I wanted to do it. So I wrote the time and the splits, the 50 splits, 450 splits on a card, final time. And I looked at it every day, and I worked hard in the pool, and I did everything. And I looked at the card. My brain said, "This is impossible, John. You're not going to do this. This is like nowhere, no way can you swim this fast." Then I looked at it more and I thought about it and I wanted it and I planned and I worked hard in the pool and I thought, well, maybe I could do it. Maybe I. So, anyways, I got to that meet that day, lane 8 in the outside lane in Tobico. I got up on the blocks and took off. It was the easiest swim in my career. And I touched the wall and I got out. I didn't even look up at the board. I went over and the coach said, "Wow, that was a great swim. You made the team. You qualified. That was your best time." And I said, "I know." And he said, "Well, do you know what time you did?" And I said, "Well, not really, but I know I did the time." And so I looked up, and so every split was exactly what I'd written down on the piece of paper, except the last one was faster by 0.3 of a second. And I
Mhm.
beat the team. And that swim was such a beautiful swim. It was,
Way to go.
everything was the start, the turns, the stroke, the technique, the breathing, the no thinking, just doing. Oh, it was beautiful.
Way to go. So you're trained that muscle called courage.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I just went for it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was and the mind quiets and the body takes over, but
Mhm.
body knows what the mission is, what it needs to do. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. Have you met any crazy swimmer that has swum across the lake? Because I know you actually observe and swim master a lot. Like anything that you've
Yeah,
done,
yeah,
any
dude.
positive stories, any like a positive defining moments from swims that you have helped other swimmers.
Yeah. Well, I have helped. I think I've been on about 23 swims.
Mhm.
And that's not a big number compared to Colleen Shields or Marilyn Kosakwa. They've like, or maybe Kim Lumsden, but yeah, some people have done a lot. Anyways, I've done a bunch, but there's a couple that years ago. I think I'm just looking at my notes. I'm not sure. Oh, I don't have a date on this, but I helped do a trial swim for a young woman named Ashley Cowan.
Mhm, mhm.
And so I met her up at Lake Simcoe for a trial swim. And I thought they told me she was a double amputee. So, anyways, I got there, and it turns out she was a quadruple amputee. Um,
Mhm.
and I was sort of dumbfounded. Anyways, so she got in the water, put her cap on, and did her swim, and I failed her because I didn't think she was too low in the water and wasn't fast enough. And I said, "I'm sorry, I just I'm going to fail you because I just don't think it's going to be safe for you to try Lake Erie." But I said something which I don't think I should have done. But I said, "Look, if you come back next Saturday, I'll be right here next Saturday if you want to try it again." So she came back the next week and crushed it. She put her head. She did a great job, and I passed her. So that was mind blowing to me that, a quadruple amputee was waiting for me on the beach at Lake Simcoe, and she got in the water and then swam across Lake Erie, like quadruple amputee. And we walk around complaining about, oh, my ankle hurts, or I got a headache today, or I got cut off in traffic. Right? That's crazy stuff. I was super impressed with her. Another swim I had the privilege to be on was Jillian Best's swim,
Mhm.
and that was like a swim that she's had some hard time, liver transplant, and I think what happened there, Madhu, was I think God or source or some entity, whatever you believe in, I think somebody said, "Look, you've had a tough time, Jillian, so we're going to make this, we're going to make this kind of easy for you." It wasn't, and not easy. It's not easy, these things, but we're going to, the temperature will be okay for you, and the waves, we won't. There were actually some currents at the end, but it was like a blessed swim. But we know It's not quite like she was ready. She was focused. Her team, she assembled a great team. Her crew was awesome. And she just did it. She just executed the swim. And there was one part at the end where she was in a current and she wasn't moving very well. And I kind of leaned over and I said, Jillian, now's the time. You got to put a little extra effort in. And so she did. And then she finished. And we had some amazing chats prior to. I was really feel honored to have helped her prepare mentally, I think, and execute that swim. That was a beautiful swim to witness. It was amazing. Because the lake can be, I've been out in the lake in a lot of weather, and it's been crazy. Carlos Costa, double amputee, extraordinary guy, love him. He did a swim, tried a few times, or once or twice. Yeah, amazing. So I have met amazing. Kim Lumsdon, Colleen Shields. These are people like Colleen is a dear friend of mine, and super impressed with her. And Kim, I love her attitude of never giving up, never giving. She's an inspiration. Just her sort of mental fortitude. Yeah, the answer to that, Madhu, is I could go on and on. But those are some highlights, I would say. People were in a couple of events. Yeah.
Awesome. John, I think this was wonderful. Thanks for your time. I know we should have a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and have a couple of beers as well.
Yeah, and
just chat. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna do that after one of those morning swims, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Wonderful.
I admire you. I feel so grateful to have a connection with you. You're a great guy with enormous impact in the world in all kinds of areas, and I just am blessed to know you. So thanks for all you do for the world, and in swimming particularly, and other stuff you do. And thank you for your interest to chat today.
Thanks, John. This section of the video, I'm sending it to my wife. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. And,
cheers, John.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Yeah.